Okay. All right, this is the video right here, guys. Okay, let me pause and I'll show you guys. Here we go. Here's the guy asking the question. Okay, pausing this. Okay.
Oh, is it my turn? Hi. Thank you guys so much for doing this. My name is Ben Affleck. I've got kind of a hard-hitting question.
Ben Affleck. I bet he plays a warlock.
And I guess, but why is there so much RNG in the game? And
yeah. Look at them all! Look at them all! This is at their own fucking show! And everybody goes fucking crazy whenever they hear this because the people know it's fucking bullshit! Think about how many people were happy about this. Is that Chinglish? No, it's not. Okay.
And do you have plans to, I guess, sort of move away from that, where the time that we spend, we know we're working towards something and we can actually get that thing?
Just say no, Ian.
Yep.
Just say no. Yep. So
definitely a concern we hear a lot. I think throughout the history of World of Warcraft, we've always tried to strike a balance or find a way to navigate the waters of delivering rewards and having goals that you can work towards. I think our concern with something that's just completely deterministic, where things are on a vendor, there were times back in the day where to get a set piece, you had to both get a drop and grind a certain number of emblems or badges in Wrath in order to buy that item. There's a point where you can just actually mark the date on the calendar where it's like, all right, 13 days from now I'm going to get this, and then 10 days later I'm going to get the second piece, and 5 days after that I'll get this.
Yep.
And there's no excitement or reward along the way. It's just steady progress.
He used the word. Remember the word that I was talking to you guys about, how it's about excitement now? He used the fucking word. I was completely right. There it is.
Towards a goal. That's not, I think, the world we want to live in its entirety. The flip side, obviously, is one where nothing feels predictable, nothing feels certain.
That seems familiar.
And frankly, that's been part of WoW from the start. I think in the very early days,
so
much less loot drop than did today, and the challenge was generally, yes, there was a fixed item, but you might literally never see it. Like in Burning Crusade, my guild was killing Gruul the Dragon Killer literally for like 14 months trying to get a Dragonspine trophy to drop.
Yep.
We only ever saw one over the course of 40 consecutive kills. Now, in today's world, there's a lot more loot. You're much more likely to see the item that you want, but there's more variability within it. In Tides of Vengeance going forward, we're reintroducing a couple of vendors, notably Azerite armor through the Mythic Keystone system, as well as salvaging or disenchanting gear. I think we've perhaps swung too far in the pure randomness side, and I think trying to pull back and find a middle ground where you can feel like you're working towards some specific goals, especially with important gear slots that are very crucial to fill.
Okay.
While there's still that chance of excitement where you don't know what a boss is going to drop and you're hoping that the thing drops and you're excited when it does, as opposed to really going into your raid night knowing, well, really, okay, I'm going to end up 20% closer to my goal, but there's no chance of anything cool happening along the way.
It's actually a really good follow-up to that. There was a listener, or rather a questioner that was going to be here, couldn't be here, unfortunately is ill today, but he had this question, leads right into what you were saying. Can you put a smart loot system on our Mythic caches?
So, yeah, that's an area where randomness...
A lot of the people that go to Blizzcon are fucking casuals, so they're like, what the hell is a Mythic cache? Like, I don't even know what the hell this is. How do I do a Mythic cache? So they're just, yeah, that's why you didn't hear a lot of applause there.
Is very keenly felt because you're pulling from a gigantic pool of items. That's part of why we really focused one of our solutions to improving Azerite armor delivery on the Mythic Keystone system. Because, right now, if you want a specific helm, let alone a helm, period, there's no guarantee that any number of weeks of running Mythic Dungeons is going to give you one. So that's one piece. Another is, I think we've definitely discussed, we don't have anything to announce right now that we can implement, but it would be great to have some improvements in sort of, not really bad luck protection, but streak breaking when it comes to seeing the same slot multiple times.
Just say cloak.
Because it's like, hey, the system already gave you a pair of boots. You probably don't need 2 more pairs of boots later on in the month. I think there's more we can do there.
Yeah. We have a question about Azerite gear. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Zakul from Storm Rage. Shout out to Zeros to Heroes.
They do this every time, man. They go on there, and this is because I was here last year whenever they did this shit, right? They go on there and they say, okay, this is, they're like, all right, what's your question? They're like, hey, shout out to the Alliance, and then the people will clap, and then like, shout out to my guild, shout out to my server, and it feels like I'm listening to a fucking Pitbull song, the amount of fucking shout outs they're making. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody cares. Stop doing this.
Nobody gives a fuck, dude. Like, okay, let's go.
Ask your fucking question. Let's go.
Look at this guy, dude. He's tired of it. He hears him say it, he's like, ah, fuck. This is gonna take 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to stand up for that long. God damn it. He's so mad right now.
I would just like some more information on the future of Azerite gear. So how does the dev team see Azerite gear evolve and improve through 8.1, 8.2, and on?
This is a great question, but obviously they're not going to answer it. What they're going to say is they're going to probably be like, well, we're making changes in 8.1 and we're going to see where those are going to go. Now, one thing I want to say right now before I get into any of the rest of it is that I actually think that the Azerite system, that the Azerite solution that they've come up with 8.1 is a perfect solution and a great idea. I never say good things, right? So take this seriously. I legitimately think it is a great solution because people wanted, I'm going to tell you guys why. Listen here, okay? People, this is like a 200 IQ, so listen. Everybody wanted a cap, right? They wanted a cap. A certain amount of things that you could do per week, and then after you did all those things per week, you reached your quota, and then you were done. Because Azerite gear has no repeatable, farmable source, the fact that you were only able to receive Azerite gear from Mythic plus zeros, from Old Deer and all the difficulties, and also from your PvP chest, effectively creates a cap of the currency that you can get every single day. So they have effectively created a Valor Point system with Azerite gear while simultaneously having a gear random system to work along with it at the same time. It is a great system. I love it. Blizzard actually did a good job. It is the perfect solution. Do you agree with that, McConnell?
Yep.
Yeah, true.
So, okay, so with Tides of Vengeance, we have a set of improvements that we're looking to roll out. I think there's a few challenges with the current system.
Okay, sir.
Are
just like,
there isn't really enough choice within the gear that you get. You might get a piece of gear and feel like, well, okay, this just has one trait that's designed for the spec I want to use it for. I guess I'm going to pick that one.
So we're going to add back
Blizzard.
Reforging.
Whereas in Tides of Vengeance, once Season 2 begins and beyond, you'll actually have 2 outer rings that contain a total of 3 traits.
That being said,
you can pick different permutations. You'll have much more ease.
That being said, what?
Of stacking 3 of one, mixing a few of another. If you want, you could actually get 1 point in each of 6 different traits to get the non-stacking benefits of those if you like.
Okay.
That also means that it's going to be, there'll be 3 times as many pieces of gear that have any single trait on them. So if you decide that there's a certain build that complements your playstyle, you can more readily work towards that. Now, we're continuing to add new Azerite traits. We are replacing some of the ones that feel, frankly, kind of lackluster, as well as just broadening the pool as a whole.
Okay.
And we're going to continue to do that as Battle for Azeroth advances.
Of course.
And then I think as get even further beyond Tides of Vengeance, we're definitely looking at additional ways to grow the system, including maybe adding more depth to the Heart of Azeroth in particular, and having some choices that we make that are meaningful within that.
Wow, that would be
like
great.
The artifact weapons that we knew from Legion.
Thank you.
That's exactly what we wanted. No, that's good. We wanted that, 100%.
Real quick, there's been a lot of questions about Azerite in the last few months, obviously.
Okay.
The other thing we've seen a lot, and especially in questions submitted today, were about global cooldown. So many people asking questions for this Q&A
wow,
are
they're
asking
taking
this
the
question.
hard questions.
Are you going to pull more things back off the QCD, or excuse me, GCD, the global cooldown?
QCD.
They really want that.
They really want that. Yo, true.
So
I want to go ahead and go back. Yeah, dude, it's QCD, man. No. I want to go back. I want to say one thing again, right? Is you hear like the amount of applause. It seems to me, it feels to me like we're in a world where it's like the devs and the players are working against each other. And I don't know like how you can really fix that. but something obviously needs to change, and I think that's kind of what's happened. Is that like the devs? Is like, how can you? I don't know. Like, McConnell, are you getting that vibe, or am I just wrong?
Well, you know what I've noticed?
What have you?
I've noticed like, so when you look at BlizzCon and you look at all the developers talking, answering questions, etc.
Yeah.
They do this thing where it's like, it's what I call like NPC speak, which is basically they speak in a way that's like, it's like only for them, right? Like you would never hear a normal person say, like, if they're talking to you in a conversation, be like, yeah, in blah 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 blah, blah 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 blah. That being said, blah 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 blah. Right?
Okay.
Like it's just, they don't talk like normal fucking human beings. Like just talk normally, like you're actually developing a game for people, not.
You mean like the buzzwords and like the industry
yes.
words?
You understand what I'm
like
saying?
That. Yeah, I do get that. Okay. I guess that is kind of weird. Thoughts on loot trading being confirmed? Like, what else really is there to say about that? Like, we've talked about it a lot. I don't think they should allow the loot trading, but if they do, I'm not going to quit over it. I mean, that's really what it is. That's kind of the way that I see it. BFA is like the battle against the devs. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's a battle for Azeroth between the devs and the player base, man. It's actually kind of sad. I don't really know what else to say, but I mean, like, there it is. It's a danger to our society. Well, I don't know about that, dude. Okay, let me watch the rest of the clip, okay?
Okay, so yes, this was an experiment that we undertook in beta, where I think we took a look at the range of abilities across our classes and noticed that over time, more and more of them had come off the global cooldown. To the point that some specs, like some monk specs in particular, might literally have 10 of their abilities that all were off the global cooldown. We're also looking at the issue of offensive cooldowns and how they synergized, where often you would just talent into something new and add it as an extra line to your macro that was the same keybind that you'd had before.
Swifty motherfucker, that's right.
Gameplay. That's something
that's
we
right.
started by pulling way, way back. And then quickly, based on an initial round of feedback, put some things back off the GCD. And we already have announced that we're in Tides of Vengeance. For Prot Warriors, Ignore Pain is coming back off the GCD.
That's right.
So I think where we stand now,
there's
we
like
are
5
pretty
warriors
satisfied
in the crowd
with the offensive cooldown portion of it.
The rest of them quit the game.
Yes, there are some specs that still give feedback that, I still feel like I need to push 3 separate individual buttons before I can really get into my rotation.
Okay.
We don't think the answer is to take all those back off the GCD, so you just macro them into one button press. It's more a question of questioning the need for those abilities to exist, designing the class around them, or just changing them so they feel cooler and more powerful to push and have some clear effect, like dealing damage or exploding in a burst of healing. And it's not just like a state change that enables you to do better later. I think the biggest area, though, where we've heard feedback are some movement and utility abilities. When it comes to movement in particular, I think even though we gave a lot of these abilities a shorter half-second global cooldown, in practice, the concern isn't so much about being able to do something after you charge in. It's about being able to charge or heroic leave out after getting in that last-second execute and dodging the boss's AoE that felt very empowering that you can no longer do. We agree. We're going to take those movement abilities back off the GCD in Tides of Vengeance.
Oh!
All right, that's awesome. Back to the audience, please. Your question.
That's great.
My name's...
So, what this indicates to me and what's frustrating about the whole GCD thing is that they've already kind of gone backwards with about half of the stuff that they were going to do with the GCD. Right? Like all of the different things, like let me find some examples, okay? Maybe this might take some time. Okay, so... Shit, sorry, I was like distracting myself because I was reading chat. McConnell, what was I going to say?
I wasn't listening to you, man.
I wasn't either. Like, I forgot what I was going to say, man. I totally... Oh, right. Okay, so it indicates that they have, like, there's no overarching... It seems like there's no overarching design philosophy, right? Because if you bring something out and then you remove half of it within, like, a few months, it indicates that you haven't play tested it enough to think that it's a good idea enough to keep it in the game for sure, because if you did, you wouldn't have removed half of it after you got enough negative feedback. So it seems very clear that there is no overarching design philosophy. There is no grand design here. They're just kind of throwing darts at the board. And if they weren't, then they would be able to say, okay, this is what the change is. We're making this change. It's going to make the game better, period. It's the same as what they did with reforging. They removed reforging. I think it was a bad decision, but they stuck with it. And they've stuck with a lot of different decisions that they made too, even though a lot of people might disagree with them. And that's something that we don't see Blizzard doing anymore. We see them doing changes that are like these huge, massive changes. Then after enough people say, no, we don't like this change, usually they get rid of it. So it's almost like they have no, like, they never plant their feet in the sand or in like whatever and say, this is what it's going to be. And I don't know. It seems like they don't really have like a plan. Yeah, the grand GCD change.
Holy Shank, and while there's a lot of amazing gear, sometimes a piece that you really want to equip just doesn't fit your theme. I was wondering if we'll ever get like a color wheel or be able to dye our armor?
Yeah, you do, kid. You play fucking Mythic and you get the red gear. You play Heroic, you get the blue gear. You do normal, you get the yellow gear. You do LFR, you get the purple gear. There you go. You need the pink gear too? Maybe you fucking do. That's fine. You don't have that. It's too fucking bad. You don't need a color wheel. You do the different difficulties. You do the raids. You earn the fucking loot. What if you could just paint your gear red? You don't even need to do Mythic anymore.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like a question for you.
Yeah, so this has come up frequently, and like the big answer is not for everything, right? Not for every existing piece of armor in the game. And I need to give you a deeper answer. I gotta art out a little bit. So
like, look at that guy's hairline. How's that even fucking fair?
Oh, stop being mad.
No, dude, it's stupid. Like, look at his hairline. It's completely fine. Like, why is that? Like, there's literally, like, that's absolutely fucking perfect. What did I do to deserve this? Look at this. I can't even fucking, like, my hair looks like, it looks like I'm one of the fucking coursers from the PvP fucking quests.
Then fucking shave it off.
No, because I want it to be like that, not like this.
Everybody saw the Putin picture, man.
Yeah, they saw it. Fuck, dude, I hate this guy.
Forgive me for the long-winded art answer, but when you talk about color wheels and shifting color, you're talking about tinting. Tinting is somewhat antithetical to our approach of how we create color and textures in WoW. When we paint the textures that we paint them much in the same way that you would like a traditional oil painting. So there are all kinds of layering of, if you look at purple, it's not just purple, it's blues and reds, greens, contrasting colors, and all of that color information is what gives you depth. And that depth is what makes the world look as rich as it does. So the challenge there being that if we pull that out, I feel like Bob Ross right now.
You are.
The happy little trees are making color.
Less hair.
So at the same time, I understand, right? Like I'm probably the worst at that, where I just can't get my boots to look right in my set, and I want to be able to color them the way that they fit into the rest of my set. So the way I can see that working would be probably not necessarily like going back and tinting every asset that exists in the game currently, because that would require us shifting them to gray and that grayscale, and then actually just adding like a core color on top of that you could shift, which I feel like really wouldn't. We tried a little bit of that in right at the end of Burning Crusade, when we wanted to get a lot of armor sets out really quickly and did a test to see if tinting would work. And I mean, I think like most people probably remember that era as like the clown era of World of Warcraft.
It was great. I loved it.
That was on us too for not necessarily giving you the best choices to wear, and now we have transmog restrictions, which will help that. Moving forward, I think the system that we could use would be something if it was more isolated to like one armor system that was a part of a bigger system, a game system within the game. I could see something like that, so that we were able to handcraft each one of those colors, so that when you shifted it, you still had that color depth, and it didn't lose all of the magic that makes WoW look the way it does.
Thank you very much. Great question.
So no. That was the most unenthusiastic, great question I've ever heard.
Hi, I'm Linkstry on Daromir.
I bet he plays a demon hunter, dude. Look at this guy. He's that guy in your in your D&D campaign. It's like the Dark Ranger that sits at the corner of the tavern and only talks in like these like ominous phrases. Look at that hat, man. You know why he's wearing that hat? I can tell you why. is because he's going bald too and he doesn't want it to show up on camera. Do you know how I know that? Because I have another hat that looks just like that. That's how I know that.
So, as you know, you've taken off a lot of like situational abilities over time, like a lot of niche abilities. And those are actually a lot of fun to me. So, if it results in the homogenization of utility, would you be willing to diversify the gameplay of specs back to a level that we saw in the Mists of Pandaria?
So,
it's like they're obviously going to say yes, but to an extent. Like, I really hate whenever people ask these questions that you already know what they're going to say. They're going to be like, yeah, we want to make things more unique, but we also want to make it to where people have, you know, you don't need to bring every single spec in class. It's always going to be the same shit.
I think that situational abilities, it can be cool. And they don't compete in the same way for your moment-to-moment mind share when you're trying to figure out what your core keybinds are, what you should press. I think we look at those separately than we look at, you know, the core rotational moment-to-moment gameplay. So we're not averse by any means to reintroducing or adding new abilities where it makes sense.
To ask questions.
I think the concern with some of what Mists and Warlords era talents led to was a lot of just repeatedly shoring up weaknesses, and that's that exact homogenization that I think you mentioned in your question. We'd rather double down on strengths and have classes and specs stand apart from each other, so they each have moments where they can excel, and moments where the people around them, where your friends, where your raid group, where your arena team, your battleground team, is saying to themselves, man, I'm glad we have an X, because they bring something special here, as opposed to, okay, let's get one of these 6 specs to fill this hole.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Wow, he didn't even say thank you.
Let's talk about server population. Go ahead.
Oh, good.
Yeah, all right. With CRZ and phasing off the table for Classic WoW, how will you address server population concerns in Classic, both with caps and possibly with low pop realms?
Okay, so
that's
for
actually a
some
good
folks
question.
who've been jumping into the Classic demo, you may have noticed that if you jump in with your friend, you're not necessarily always seeing each other in the same version of the Barrens right now. That is sharding. There has been a lot of concern and discussion.
Oh, fuck, man. McConnell, dude, did you hear that?
No, I'm reading some comments. What happened?
You reading more YouTube comments?
No. It's a whole thread on the WoW subreddit.
About what?
Oh, about the shit from yesterday you don't want to talk about.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess I can make like a final statement. I already did.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, there's no reason
Are you
to
sure?
No, there's no reason to, actually. Like, because if I go and I talk about it, then it's going to make people that are my friends that have reasons to trust me, it'll make them look like assholes. So, you know what? I'm not going to talk about it at all. I'll take the L. Okay? I will tank all of the... If people don't want to trust me, it's fine. But I didn't lie. Okay? Wait, oh, no! Where was I at? I clicked the wrong thing. Fuck. Okay, alright, there was the hoodie guy. Okay, here we go. Perfect. We're fine. Alright.
The special case, right? Because it's not an organic world where everyone is spread out. It's literally always seeing each other in the same version of the Barrens right now.
Okay.
That is sharding. There has been a lot of concern and discussion expressed around it on the internet. We understand.
On the internet.
So, first off, the demo is kind of a special case, right? Because it's not an organic world where everyone is spread out. It's literally every single character using a template being created in the exact same point in the world in Barrens or Westfall.
Yep.
We leverage that tech to make the demo experience run more smoothly.
Yep.
Now, that said, we recognize that launching WoW Classic poses a couple of unique challenges. Unlike launching a traditional game that's brand new, where you can assume that everyone who is jumping in there on launch day has the intent to at least explore playing it long term, we expect that early on with Classic, there are going to be some people who are there, die-hard dedicated, they're racing to defeat Ragnaros and Onyxia. There are going to be others who just want to check it out casually. They just want to see what all the fuss is about.
Oh,
they want
losers.
to see what they missed. And our concern is, I think exactly as you suggest, what's that going to look like? What's that going to do to realm communities as subserver populations may dwindle over time?
Yes, let's hear it.
That is where we are looking at using sharding in a very limited way. We understand, and I understand completely, that sharding is antithetical to the concept of a cohesive Classic community where you're competing over limited resources. When Lord Kha'Zix is up and guilds are racing to defeat him, there needs to only be one Lord Kha'Zix. If you're trying to get, if you're trying to lock down the thorium veins that spawn in limited sections of the world, you should be competing over limited resources.
Okay.
That said, the first few weeks, when everybody is packed into Valley of Trials, when everybody is packed into Elwyn, we think we can use sharding there in a limited, time-limited way to solve the initial
You see what I'm saying with that said, dude?
While making sure that in the long run, as server communities solidify, there's a healthy population and a single world for everyone to live in.
Thank you. Thank you very
okay, so that's a good answer. I mean, do you think that's a good answer or what?
No, of course it's not. Look, here's the thing. A lot of people say I'm too negative. I'm always complaining. I'll say something good right now. I do see somewhere deep inside of Ian's wacky eyes, okay? He cares. Ian does care about Classic, and I do think that the Birmingham guy and the other guy that was on stage also care, and I also think that John Haidt cares about Classic. That being said, they need to start listening to the community more often about what we want out of Classic.
And what is that?
No changes.
No changes. The loot thing is probably I think that's like the main change, because like the sharding thing, if they shard at the beginning of the expansion release, or the classic release, I'm not gonna like it, but I'm not gonna quit over it either. The loot thing is, in my opinion, a very bad decision for Blizzard to make, and I think it creates a toxic dynamic that's a lot worse than people maybe putting in a few extra tickets. Because you're also going to have people putting in tickets complaining that other people need roll on the gear, and then they give it to their friends. So you're trading one type of ticket for another type of ticket. So they're going to call that ninja looting to begin with, because that's whenever ninja looting used to happen. So the whole thing, it's like... It's
just a big clusterfuck.
It's like, all right, imagine like you're standing up, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so
I do that a lot.
You're standing up, and you have 2 dildos. Can I do this on stream?
I don't think so, man. Like, I don't think you can.
I was gonna use.
Don't motion towards your ass or anything.
Really? I shouldn't do
that.
That's.
Yeah, don't do that. There's actually staff in chat as well.
Really?
Yeah, there's like 3 staff in chat. Like, just chill.
What's up, guys? Okay, I'll just explain the metaphor, right? Okay, so like imagine you're standing there, right? And there's 2 dildos, and you can either go left or right. And if you go left, you get fucked in the ass from the right, and if you go right, you get fucked in the ass from the left. It's one of the situations where Blizzard is fucked coming and going. It doesn't matter what they do. I was gonna use 2 12-packs to indicate dildos, because they're like, I mean, let's be honest, this is a really big one, right? And obviously, that's the way that I feel about it, okay, guys? Sorry, but there it is. The fuck is this? Okay, let's get this done.
Very, very much. Next question, please.
Hi, I'm Pixel from the Barracuda Death Squad on Tichondrius. Yesterday, we just announced that we're going to be having Mechagon coming out. You guys explicitly mentioned that we're going to be actually having
Mechagon? Isn't that Mecha Gnomes?
I believe you said team up. I don't know if you said if they're going to have a beef. But, hey, whatever works, right? It's going to be explosions, so it'll be great one way or another, right? So, one of the things that I did notice, I am a Cata kid, so I came in with Gen Greymane, the Worgans, of course the Goblins. I play only Goblins, which leads me to believe, hey, where are my Goblins at?
No one, because nobody gives a fuck, dog. Like, what do you mean, where are my Goblins at? Okay, settle the fuck down, Ludicrous. Ask your fucking questions, Cata Kid. Is that your rap name? Give it a break.
The gnomes, not so much. I don't like you guys. All right, hey. I'll see you in Mechagon. But I noticed that Gen Greymane is obviously getting the spotlight a lot lately, especially in Battle for Azeroth and, of course, of Legion. I was wondering, will we be seeing any sort of development on the backstory of Gallywix? How has being part of the larger horde kind of affected him as a leader? Is he just this two-dimensional money-grubbing dude that, you know, we can't really trust as far as we can throw him, which is a kind of far.
It's pretty far, yeah.
Granted.
Not really. What do you mean, dude? The guy's so big. He's shuffling around. He barely made it over to the other side of the dinner table to talk to Sylvanas. You can't throw him anywhere.
But if you're a gnome, how about that? So, but we will be seeing any more development on him, any more development as far as like what's his attachment to his people type of thing?
That's a great question. I think he's a three-dimensional money-grabbing character, frankly.
I like that. Thank you.
But it's a good.
Does that mean he's going to be an allied race?
You know, when they finally let me make the Pleasure Palace an actual Pleasure Palace, when that day comes, we will have all of Ajara covered with his skyscrapers, and you will fully be able to experience the goblins as they were meant to be. But until then, we're going to look into it. Yes.
All right.
But I like my idea.
Like
that sounds amazing.
See?
I'd quest in there all day.
Absolutely.
There's no questing in
all
there.
Night.
Yeah.
If we're getting Ajara, though, what's happening with the cannon? That's all I need to know. Are we firing?
Nothing's happening with it. It's cosmetic.
Right? That's an amazing. I ask that every day, quite honestly.
What is happening with that cannon?
How do you make a big cannon and never fire it?
Hitler did it.
We're going to fire that cannon.
I'll be honest. I was going to give a shout out to Hazakostas first, but you're my new favorite dev, so thank you so much. Just fire the cannon.
Well, yeah, just fuck the other three guys on stage.
In favorites.
Yeah, I thought we were the other three guys. Yeah, I hate them.
Oh, no, that's not a thing. And that went pretty quick.
All right. Hey, thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure. Before I go, I have one last thing I have to do.
Okay.
I know you might think that you're loud, but you have to use the microphone because you're not like Chris Metzen or something. You can't yell that loud. Just give it a break, okay? Look at all the pins he had. Let me read one of these real quick so you guys completely misunderstand why they want sharding. They want sharding to increase the server cap so it can stabilize to a classic-like server. They expect the server to decrease in population because retail players can only play classic WoW for free. If they don't have sharding, we might see servers start at 2.5k at 2 weeks, so they're down to 800 players because retail players quit. They want to use sharding so it starts at 7.5k, and after 2 weeks it has 2.5k servers. I don't know how their server technology works. I'm not sure. And so I don't know if like anybody can be certain about that, but I think that you actually bring up a really good point, and you are kind of right in the way that they might be using sharding to, I guess, try to get to a middle ground that they're expecting to reach. And if that's the case, then I feel like that is kind of like a logical conclusion to come to with them using it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think he just wanted to live there and like just stay there for the rest of the day. All right, next question, please.
Hi, I'm Maruna from the Harlequin gang and the Choice of Nyalotha. Love you guys. And I know you get this question every year, but can we, in regards to transmog restrictions, can we ever expect more freedom when it comes to transmogging into different types of armor, different armor classes?
Yeah, can my hunter ever wear priest armor, for example?
I mean, if you...
Yeah, it can. You just put it on, dummy. You just get a cloth helmet, you put it on your character. Like, what, do you have to transmog it? I mean, bro, you're playing in Goldshire anyway. What do you need to do? You need better gear to kill a Murloc? Give it a break, son. Like, we don't need this shit.
Want non-functional.
I mean, I kind of want
really low armor. But, no, so some of that is about class fantasy. It's about silhouettes. It's about, you know, when you see a human wearing plate mail, you can draw certain inferences about who they are, what classes they may be, and then once you see them take a couple of actions, you learn a bit more about them. So that's why those restrictions have existed really from the start. It's also a little bit of a, you know, it would be kind of a one-way street because cloth wearers can't use plate at all, period, whereas plate wearers can technically use all armor just because of how skill specializations work under the hood. And so it would be like this weird boon for warriors and paladins, but literally do nothing for mages and priests.
Exactly.
That said, we have been loosening those restrictions in certain places with cosmetic armor sets, notably the heritage armor sets that can be used by a given race no matter what class you are, which give you a chance to earn a distinctive look that may differ from the regular gear available.
That's actually really smart, and it's a good idea. And they actually did this with the Garrison Bunker, where they made the Stormwind set, so you can use like the plate armor because it's cosmetic variant, and it's not plate armor or like cloth or anything like, or plate mail leather or like a cloth. You're able to use it as like a priest, and so you can actually have plate armor. So using cosmetic sets in order to give classes that are like a mage or a priest plate armor, I think is good, but it also is a little bit weird, because why would a priest have plate armor?
To your class, and we're excited to keep introducing new heritage armor sets as content updates roll out. Looking at other transmog restrictions, I know you asked about armor, but I figure I'd throw in there that we're actually entitled.
Anduin wears plate armor because he's a paladin. Okay? Do you know how I know he's a paladin? It's because every single thing that he does is what paladins do. Imagine you went over to your friend's house and he's like, hey, I want you to see my new pet. It's a dog. And he brings you out a cat. And the cat meows, it scratches you, it shits on the floor, and it won't eat its food. And it doesn't even want to be around you. But he's like, no, this is actually a dog. Even though every single thing that it does indicates that it's a cat. Are you going to call it a dog? No. Why? Because it's a cat.
Vengeance going to make you able to transmog over fist weapons with an array of one-handed weapons. Woo! So
that's actually really good. I like that.
One step at a time, chipping away at those restrictions. Sorry, we still can't fix wands because wands are weird and they actually do range damage with unique animations. But for now, fist weapons.
Okay, that's great.
I look forward to seeing how much looser you can make those restrictions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Rez. Shout out to the BNC. That was Chris Messens earlier. All right, my question.
Okay.
How are you going to differentiate between what Sylvanas is doing and what Garrosh did?
So between Garrosh, yeah, what's the difference between Sylvanas and Garrosh at this point?
Well, these are my favorite kind of questions.
You're welcome.
The kind I can't answer. Well, the story's not done. And there's much left to discover. There's much left to explore.
That's right. We still have to find out that she was actually corrupted by an old god, and then at the end have a final redemption act to make sure that the people that are fans of the character don't feel alienated. Those are the two things that haven't been told yet.
Yes, I'm going to tell you, wait and see.
It's going to be called Siege of, where's she at again? Oh, Orgrimmar. Yeah, Siege of Orgrimmar.
And of course all of that, but I will say this. If I were Sylvanas and looking at what Garrosh had wrought across the world, I'd probably think Garrosh was an amateur.
Agree. Long live the Banshee Queen.
Yeah. Okay. Try not to show too much horde bias up here. Go ahead.
Hello. My name is Drishnu. I am a proud Shadow Priest and Sylvanas supporter. My question is that this entire expansion has been set up Horde versus Alliance. There's been a lot of struggles between the two factions. There's war fronts, which is direct zones, and island expeditions, which are races for resources between the factions. My question is, why, if we're on an island expedition or in a war front where we're directly against the other faction, why are the PvP talents not being activated?
So, I mean, I guess.
What a stupid question. What a dumb question. Like, there's obviously like a gameplay reason for that. Like, it's not PvP. Just because it says it's part of the Horde doesn't mean it's PvP. So they're PvP talents. So that's player versus player. Are you playing against a player? No, you're not. Well, then why would you have PvP talents?
Yes, sorry if this is like, I guess, a technical, literal answer, but because you're not fighting other players. And I think, PvP isn't necessarily, it's not just Horde versus Alliance. Horde versus Alliance can express itself throughout outdoor questing, in the new Battle of Dazara lore that's coming in Tides of Vengeance, and more.
Good answer.
PvP talents are specifically tailored to provide an array of options for fighting other players of regular, character classes, and apply even when you're the same faction, right? In Arena, you might be 2 Alliance teams or 2 Horde teams facing each other. I think we also think it's important that the abilities that are available to you not vary drastically based on situations that you're jumping into that don't feel very specific. Like if you are opting into PvP, if you go into a battleground or an arena, yes, you may have your PvP talents activate and a new ability or 2 become available in your bars. But when you just drop into an island or go into a warfront or enter an area of world quests where there's an assault active, that shouldn't be drastically changing out from under you suddenly. I think it's also part of why in war mode, we opted to turn those on by default in all situations rather than having them toggle on dynamically if you jump into PvP combat.
A follow-up question to that is that there was an announcement of being able to do battlegrounds using the island expedition technology of the NPCs. Will the PvP talents not activate there then? Because we're not playing actual players?
What?
Good question. That's a problem with legalistic technical answers. We haven't determined for sure. I think we probably would turn on PvP talents because it's a battleground. That's a PvP brawl, and there you're fighting against AI opponents that are a literal reconstruction of a Frost Mage or a Moonkin, and it's a Night Elf Frost Mage using, or Night Elf Druid or Human Mage using actual player abilities. Whereas in Island Expeditions, you're fighting Alliance adventurers that are maybe they're a bit cleverer and they jump a bit more than regular NPCs, but they're not a literal
No, they
WoW
don't. I
character
jump
class.
all the time.
All right, thank you.
Quick follow-up on Island Expeditions.
Ooh.
If I'm leveling a druid exclusively to 120 in Island Expeditions, do you consider me a weirdo for that?
No.
No. Do you encourage that behavior? Like, is it okay if somebody's leveling? That's fine.
Yeah, that's why we made them
All right.
available.
What do you
Once
want them to
unlock them,
say?
we actually buff the experience you get from normal expeditions. And quick plug, in Tides of Vengeance, we're also adding an account-bound item that unlocks flight paths, so that you don't have to worry about not having any of the flight paths and having to re-explore the entire world if you level your alt via Island Expeditions.
Cool.
So I'm not so weird after all. Next question, please.
I mean, you might be not for that.
It's arguable, yeah.
Hi, guys. I'm a Cindy from Mal'Ganis, and my question is, will there be a revamped Mythic Keystone leaderboard so we don't have to go to a third-party site?
You have one. Blizzard has an actual leaderboard on their website. The reason why nobody uses it is because it sucks. Yeah, they actually have one. It was just so bad that it just doesn't even work. Oh, he said revamped? Okay, I got it. I got it. Never mind. My bad, guys.
Yes. Actually, sort of. So it's basically, so the problem is the leaderboard still functions as a leaderboard, and I think being able to see the highest keys that have been done on your realm or in the region in a given week, that's still valuable, and that's not, that's the core functionality there. The challenge is that it's also the only window into your character's progression, and the fact that you do a Mythic 7 or a Mythic 10 on a high pop server late in the week isn't tracked in the leaderboard is a problem there. So by Tides of Vengeance, we're looking to just add that information directly to the Armory profile, so that similar to the history that you see when you open up your own Mythic Dungeon pane, you can see what your times for the week are or what your best times for the season are. That will just be available on a character basis. You don't have to worry about whether you made the leaderboard or not. Even if you do a Mythic 4, that will still be there as part of your profile.
Thank you.
I guess that's good.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Hello, I'm another proud Shadow Priest from Crom US Lane Aragos. And my question is, low-performing specs get a bad reputation that persists long after they're buffed. Can you do anything to help Shadow, Shamans, and Ferals find their pickup groups?
Yes, I think it's
join a guild.
That's a huge motivator for us when it comes to balance. To some extent, community perception almost matters more than reality in that regard. It doesn't matter if objectively bots or whatever can perform equally. If you as a player are logging in trying to find a dungeon group or trying to find an arena team on a given night and you keep getting turned down because of the community perception of your spec, you can't have fun playing the game, and you are entirely justified in blaming Blizzard for failing to give you the experience that you want and deserve. And so that's something that, balance is obviously part of that, buffs are part of that, socializing those changes are part of it. Sometimes, frankly, we need to overbuff something to get the community to take note. One little call out, I think to some extent, the community doesn't always do themselves a favor in this regard. There's a fine line between lobbying for change and trying to get Blizzard's attention and constantly sort of putting down your own class, right? I think when class discords are constantly making memes about how they're all on the bench or they're all on suicide watch, someone else goes and sees that and they're like, well, if all the shaman are talking about re-rolling, I don't want one of those in my group. When actually they're like maybe 2 or 3% behind and could just use a little.
That's actually really true. The thing with that is like all of the other classes are, they have like a very bad tendency to over-exaggerate whenever their class is underperforming. The only class that doesn't do that is warriors. Whenever warriors do say that they're underperforming, that they're not very good, etc., that part is completely true. And all you have to do is you just look at it. I mean, there it is. But the other classes, yeah, I mean, like they just completely over-exaggerate everything. It's embarrassing.
Help. So members of the classes, members of the specs, try to look out for yourselves too. But we hear you. We know we need to take action when classes are falling behind, when specs are falling behind. Community input drives that a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. Now, because you guys are so awesome and your questions are so amazing,
he's got Pepe,
and mind-blowing, we literally have time for one more. And I apologize for that, but we're going to get to it and get one more question in. Please go ahead.
Girl, right?
Thank you so much.
Wait, what?
I'm honored to be here, so thank you.
Well, no, wait, whoa, what do you mean?
My question today is...
Back.
I thought it was going to be her. What happened? Yeah, it was going to be her. Wait, oh no, I can see his arm. Damn, dude. Okay, all right, here we go.
My question today is, are there any plans or considerations to bring back tier sets or gear related of some sort to give definition of class identity?
So I think
I miss them.
Sure. So I think within Battle for Azeroth, we're trying something different this time. It's a mix of the way the Azerite armor system plays out with material-based sets, but I think it also gives us a chance to give you a set of gear that, from a troll raid that feels like a set of gear from a troll raid, or when you delve into Nazjatar and Ashara's Palace, getting an expression of what Naga armor might look like, so that it's very clear where that item came from, versus what does a Naga expression of Death Knight look like, or Naga expression of Paladin look like. We stopped doing that after a couple of attempts because it really muddied the waters a lot. Like a Fel Mage set looked a lot like a Warlock set a lot of the time. That said, I wouldn't say that this is the path we're going to take forever, and it's quite likely that class-themed armor sets will see a return in the future. But for the time being, it's I think, pretty cool to see a broader range of visual styles executed at a very high level of fidelity from our armor sets, from raids, from warfronts, and more.
Thank you so much.
I think I'm going to do one question from home. Let's see. Urnariel from Europe asked a question I think we can get to really quick here, and this is good because of the timing. Regarding Classic, are we staying on this patch forever, or will WoW Classic eventually get its own expansions?
Okay.
So,
a real easy one.
Exactly.
EU question, I love it.
Honestly, right now, we're just focused on restoring and getting that 2006 original WoW experience in players' hands. Once the game is out there next summer, we'll do what makes sense. At that point, it's a full-fledged live service alongside Battle for Azeroth, and we look forward to updating it for a long time to come. And we'll listen to our players. We'll do what's right for the community, what's right for the game.
Perfect. I want to thank everybody so much for being here. Thank you for sitting in. Thank you, panel. Big round of applause for these guys. They did a killer job today. It was a real honor to be...
Did they take his question, or did they actually just pan to him? There's no way. Did they... Oh, no. I feel so bad. Yeah, they didn't even take his question, but they panned him. He was the first person that they... Why does this guy say I'm not gay? Like, what is that? That's so sad. Oh, no. How do you get kicked off stage? No, it's not. I mean, it's more complicated than that. Can we watch more? I think that's the entire Q&A, man. Oh, here we go. Is there any more of this? What is this
here to speak to you, to talk to those at home. I hope you have a fantastic and safe rest of your Blizzcon today. Have a great time, and we'll see you next year for another WoW Q&A. Oh yeah, one more thing.
Thank you all for the great questions. Especially thank you to those who didn't get a chance to ask them, who lined up. Apologies for that. We have your questions. We will do our best to get an answer up on the forums within the next week or so for the questions that didn't get asked, because...
You're gonna regret that, Ian. You should not have said that. You should have just said, thank you for all your questions. I'm sorry we didn't get to them all. You understand? Like, now you have to deal with this shit because you just said it? You're gonna regret that shit so fucking hard, man.
You deserve it.
That's a mistake.
Sorry again.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great
That's
Blizzcon.
A mistake. Okay.
Thank you for attending World of Warcraft Q&A.
Okay. But the biggest question? Yeah, I play nice, play fair.
But joining us now is Blizzard Entertainment.
What is this? What is this play nice, play fair shit? I don't get it. Diablo? Oh no. Is that actually like... McConnell, did you see that? Do you know anything about that? They had like a whole panel about like play nice, play fair.
Fuck that.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is like, is that an actual thing or is it just like some kind of...
I would hope
bullshit?
not.
Yeah, I would hope not too. That's so weird.